Yo, what's up, fanbase? It's your boy Blaze Holla coming at you again with another What If, and this time I'm bringing you What If Deku had All for One Part 19, and I truly want to let you know that this is going to be special because this is the first video in all of my channel to make it to the USJ. And I also know that I originally promised to make this an hour long, but some stuff happened, so most of this long video is going to be set up for parts in the future that will be coming real soon. Before we get into that, there's a few things I would like to say. First, I hope that all of you understand why these videos take so long to make. Second, I've been going through a lot of emotional stuff lately. For example, a few weeks ago I was writing this script when I got a notification from my favorite YouTuber Technoblade that he had passed away from his battle with cancer. And I please see in the comment section blood for the blood god just for Technoblade's sake. Third, a few days after that my family friend got into a car accident. Luckily he survived, but he's struggling with recovery and the trauma from the accident. Seeing that a couple of his friends got hurt in the accident, so my mom is flying out to see him to make sure that he's doing okay. Since money is tight, she'll have to go by herself, so I'm hoping that I'll get to FaceTime him later when I get the chance. Or if I'm actually happy to see the support that part 3 of Hormone Deku is getting. Surprising me how that series is still going, at least knowing that the last upload was 9 months ago, so I'm happy to see that you guys still want to see more of that. Finally, make sure to check out the new teaser videos that are coming up because they will be determining what stories I will focus on once there is a slot available. But with all that said, let's start that intro and get into it.
Maybe in a million miles on a highway through the skies. Someday soon we'll be together.
No, I honestly don't think you can become a hero.
After Izuku left Nezu's office and headed back to his classroom to grab his bag and head home, he actually ends up running into his adoptive father, Endeavor, who actually seems to be rushing over to him to check him over to make sure that there's no permanent damage. Izuku, I am truly happy to see that you're okay. I'm sorry that I wasn't on the scene with everybody, but I was actually getting a phone call from one of my sidekicks that might help us actually get some information on what happened here today. But that can wait until we get home. Izuku smiled, seeing that Endeavor was worried about him. Don't worry, it's fine. I knew that if you weren't there, something had to be going on. I'm just glad that nobody else got hurt. Endeavor smiled while he was walking his son back to Class 1A. You know your mother is going to be all over you when we get home, right? Izuku chuckled a little bit while also scratching the back of his head. Not just her. Imagine when Big Sis wants to play doctor by helping me out even though I'm okay. And then there's my brothers who are going to want a piece of All Might themselves. Endeavor was amused by the thought of seeing the entire family wanting to jump one person just because one of them is hurt. It truly will be a sight to behold, seeing how everybody will handle the situation. But the question is, who will be giving the information first? Will it be your girlfriend? Maybe Shoto giving a text to everybody? Izuku just thought about it for a second. I'm actually gonna go with the wild card and bet that Titan has already called the entire family just so they have the proper medical supplies on hand and a proper nutritious meal that will go perfectly with healing our injuries. Both of them laughed, amusing by the whole situation, almost like they were making bets on who was going to rat out the situation first. As Izuku was opening the door to the classroom, at the same split second, Mina pounced on him like a tiger on prey, hugging and holding him close. You need to stop scaring me. I don't know how much my heart can continue to take these risky things that you like to do to yourself. He pressed her face up against his chest, almost like she didn't want to let him go. I thought I lost you. Izuku was able to get them to sit up in the middle of the hallway as he was comforting the love of his life. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, but I'm alright and I'm here with you now, and that's all that truly will matter. Enzo walks over to the duo as he gently places down Izuku's bag right next to him. You definitely know how to put on a spectacle and make everybody who cares about you heart skip a beat. Izuku was scratching the back of his head with his left hand while his right arm was continuing to hold on to Mina. Again, not my intention, but I gotta do what I gotta do, and how was I supposed to know that the actual prop was a real explosive? Aiden had a very concerned look on his face as he was leaning up against the wall. I think this should be a sign that we shouldn't be here. Everybody was shocked, not expecting to hear that from Titan, who usually tries to be very strong-willed for Izuku. Before anybody could say anything, Yumi spread out her feathers as she placed them in front of all of her friends' mouths so she could speak without anybody interrupting her. As much as I don't want to admit it, Titan has a point. We've been targeted ever since we started here. Putting our lives in danger before our hero careers even started doesn't sound like it's it's worth it. Endeavor, who has been standing there quiet listening and felt like it was finally time for him to speak up. I understand that all of you kids must be frightened, but if it takes stuff like this to truly shake you to your core and give up, maybe you should be looking into different lines of work because this is normal for heroes. Otto finally came out of the classroom as he was combing his hair to keep it even between red and white. Actually, it doesn't come down to any of that. We've all made an oath in our own way to follow Izuku because we always believe that he will lead us down the right path. Sure, we still do things within our own independence, but we also are always waiting for his approval, even if we don't want to admit it. All of the teens held their head down, knowing how true that statement was, until they all decided to look at the man of the hour, the one that they were hoping to give the proper answer. Izuku, who was finally getting off of the floor, helping Mina onto her feet as he decided to stand in the center of everyone. We are not going anywhere. If we retreat now, we allow the hero system to continue to push people like us around and guide our lives. We need to stand strong and show that it doesn't matter even if we come from improper backgrounds, discrimination, or even villain lineages, it doesn't matter. As long as we're willing to do the right thing in the end and show the world that we can be heroes. So who's with me? Mina raised both her hands to the air with renewed joy. I'm all in. Shoto just smirked, knowing that his brother would bring back all of the morale. I'll freeze anybody that gets in our way. I'll burn away any injustice and carve a path through stone for us, and I'll be the breeze that keeps us moving. Umi allowed her feathers to move around, seeming like they were being a protective shield for her. I'm not afraid to get my feathers dirty, and I'll kick anybody who tries to prove me wrong. Titan stayed silent as he walked over to Izuku, making sure that he was making direct eye contact with each other. I'm still worried about your safety, boss, but if you think that we can change the system little by little, then my power is at your disposal. Endeavor folded his arms over his chest, smiling proudly at the young heroes in front of him. This is all very touching, but we should be getting home. I'm sure that Ray is worried sick and making a big feast for everybody, so let's get back to the house. All of them cheered out in excitement, only taking about an hour to get home, only for them to open the door and see that Ray, Toya, and Fumi was grabbing onto the teen, checking them over. Toya seemed to be pulling Izuku away from everybody, seemingly having a very empty medkit, like he was trying to give off the illusion he was going to help patch up Izuku, only for the both of them to go over to Toya's room. Toya looked outside of his door as he went back and forth with his head, making sure that no one was listening as he closed the door behind them. So who do you expect caused this incident? And before you try to lie to me and say that it wasn't that big of a deal, I already have intel from the school telling me all about it. Izuku sat down on his brother's bed, knowing that he couldn't get anything past his older brother. I have a feeling that it's All Might. From what I was able to get from Principal Nezu's point of view, he also suspects him, but I have a feeling that it might be his sidekick Night Eye. Toya put his hand to his chin as he sat down at his desk chair. I thought that Night Eye might be involved, but we have no evidence, but there's also a chance that there could be an outside source that we're not thinking about. Izuku just scratched the back of his head, trying to think about all of this. That's what sucks about All Might. He's so well liked by the public, it's hard for us to be able to pinpoint anyone who could be plotting against us, because everybody could be. I'm hoping the info that Dad got from his sidekicks are actually going to be useful. Toya leaned back in his chair a little bit, feeling bad for his little brother being stuck in a situation like this. So, how are the rest of your friends handling this? I heard from Titan that he's a little bit hesitant to stay in UA. Izuku didn't know how to feel about that, remembering how everybody around him was a little bit shooken up and how he's been the cause of 2 life-threatening disasters for not only him but his closest friends so far. Yeah, he was, but thanks to Shoto and the others being a little bit more confident than I was at first, we were able to all agree to stay in UA and fix the system. Toya cheered up a little bit, realizing that his little brother is going to be just fine. Well, all we can do is hope that Dad's news will be able to shed some lights on things. As if their father heard them, he yelled throughout the house for everybody to meet up at the family table, like they were going to be having a meeting. It took a little bit for everybody to gather up and sit down at the table, as Endeavor was taking his seat at the head of the table, along with the projector and a white screen hanging on the wall opposite of him. Okay, I know it's been a rough day today and a lot of you are shaken up and concerned, but we might actually have a little bit of evidence thanks to this incident. Ina folded her arms over her chest like she will believe that when she sees it. How is it that we were able to get some proof that All Might did this? The guy covers up his own tracks like it's no one's business. Toya put up his hand like he was trying to ease Mina. Hold on now, before we just pass off what my father has to say, let's hear him out and see what he has to say. Endeavor nodded as he was thankful for his eldest son was able to help him out as he clicked a button on the projector showing an image of Night-Eye who was carrying an empty bucket of paint. What I'm trying to tell you is one of my spies earlier today found Night-Eye near UA campus leaving with an empty bucket of paint, and so leaned back in his chair like he wasn't surprised. Well, isn't that convenient? The sidekick of our worst enemy is leaving the scene of the crime with an empty paint bucket, but somehow UA's cameras did not pick up on that. Endeavor coughed a little bit, trying to get the boy to stay silent. That's actually something I brought up with the principal, but when we went back and looked over the video of the area in the time, it shows no sign of Night-Eye ever being there. Yumi put her hand to her chin like she was trying to think really hard about the situation. So it's either there's a chance that our spy could be lying to us, or Night-Eye was able to hack into UA's camera system and erase his presence from the cameras. Oya decided to kick his feet up on the table as he placed one of his hands underneath his chin in a thinking position. I have no doubt that the people that have been watching over Night-Eye's agency is correct, but what does bother me is how he was able to hide himself from the system and the other teachers even though he went in and out of the building. Izuku's eyes widened in realization as he slammed both of his hands onto the table and standing up. It's not the fact that someone saw him on campus, it's the fact that people don't want to admit that they saw him. I don't doubt that there's anybody in UA who doesn't want us there, so they would try their best to get rid of us, or more likely myself, so they lied in their report, and whoever was working security cameras at the time probably just edited the video. So the question is, which part of the UA staff is against us, and how can we get a hold of the actual video? Endeavor had a grim look on his face as he showed a few more slides of Night-Eye's movements for the past few days as he was getting hardware supplies and talking to other agencies. We have reason to believe that he has been All Might's public network and he's trying to set us up into a corner for us to fail. But we need to figure out how we can catch either one of them in the act. Titan slammed his hands onto the table as he stood up from his chair. And how the hell are we gonna do that? The both of them are like masters at making sure to cover each other's tracks like they're just doing their own job. And whenever they are trying to do something shady, they have other people covering up for them. They've already backed us into a corner so far, it's almost like we're a part of the wall. Izuku gave Titan a very serious look like he should be sitting down as he saw his friend/brother sit back down into his seat as he stood up himself, making sure that everybody gave a constant look at him. Well, what we need is to give them an opportunity to show their hand. We just need to continue doing what we're doing, but not be a part of the exercise or group activities. We just have to have somebody keeping an eye on our back, while we also get a new staff member into UA. Oya was curious, wondering who might be joining UA staff when their father alongside Overhaul are already a part of UA staff. And who exactly do you have in mind? Remember, the principal is not going to just take anybody just because we make a request. Izuku smiled like he had the recipe for victory. Easy, we get a pro hero so high up in the ranks that it would be foolish for Nezu to turn them away. As he reaches into his pocket and pulls out his phone, he scrolls through a few pictures only for him to hold out an image of Hawks. The current number 3 hero would probably be the hardest person to turn away. Endeavor was actually surprised, thinking that that might work out better than Izuku thinks it will. I could talk with him, probably bring up what happened today, along with a little bit of negotiation will probably have him more than willing to help out at the school, along with him becoming our personal eyes and ears for anything that we miss out on. Titan still looked annoyed as he was sitting down in his chair. That's good and all, but what about what happens when we're going on that field trip tomorrow? I think our sensei called it the USJ. Who's going to be watching our backs when we're left with teachers that we don't even know were either going to stab us in the back or save our back? Endeavor actually knew what was going to be happening on the field trip tomorrow. I can shed some light on that. The teachers that will be there will be me, 13, along with Eraserhead and All Might. It should be all about rescue training. It does make me feel a little bit uncomfortable knowing that it's an off-campus facility. Izuku thought about it for a minute. Hopefully there won't be any trouble when it comes to rescue training, unlike our classes or the entrance exam that we dealt with so far. While everybody was deep in thought, Rei and Fuyumi came out of the kitchen seeming to be bringing dinner to the table with smiles on their faces, trying to remove the doom and gloom from everybody's mind. Alright, I will not have you turn the dinner table into a war table. We're going to stop talking about all this and enjoy dinner and actually try to have fun as a family. I know that we just went through something traumatic and it scares me to my core knowing that my kids are in danger. But that's the point of being heroes, isn't it? You are all trying to go through hardships so others around you can have better lives, so smile a little bit more. Yumi put plates in front of everybody. Not only that, if you keep keep on scowling so much, you'll start to show age quicker. You should just try to enjoy your youth even though it's hard. The atmosphere in the room seemed to lighten up as everybody just looked at one another for a minute and then just started to smile. As they just enjoyed a nice family meal, chatting it up about the good moments and enjoying the good food and then cleaning up and getting the dishes all done. Izuku then retired to his room. As he lay down on his bed, he got an unexpected visitor from his predecessor, All For One, showing up sitting in his desk chair. You seem troubled. Mind if an old man gives you a penny for your thoughts? Izuku just smiled at the gesture, knowing that the penny was a part of his imagination. I'm just hoping that I could be strong enough or smart enough when the time comes, because today I was worried that I might actually die, and I would have taken 3 innocent people with me. All For One was getting ready to give some kind of motivational speech when he sensed that somebody was coming and he started to smile. It looks like it's not me who's supposed to be giving you the motivation this time, but do know that I'm always here if you need me. Izuku was confused, wondering why his predecessor showed up for a second and then left the next, only to hear knocking at his door. As Izuku goes up to the door and opens it up a little bit, only to see Rei standing there having 2 bowls of ice cream in her arms as she was smiling directly at him. Mind if I come in? Izuku opened the door fully to let her in as he watched her walk over to the desk and place down one of the bowls of ice cream as she sat down in the chair. Is there anything I can do for you, mother? Rei smiled, hearing her adopted son call her mother, but she knew she had to do the right thing right now. I just wanted to know, do you still think about your real mother and sister sometimes? I know already how much you think about your father. Izuku walked over to his bed as he sat down thinking about it for a little bit. I do sometimes wonder what my mother saw in my dad. Rei chuckled a little bit as she was rolling her eyes as she handed Izuku one of the bowls of ice cream. That's not what I meant. Like, do you ever think about trying to see her and see how she felt about the events that happened that night? Izuku took a bite of the ice cream as he was thinking back on his life, and he does know that he would like to know why his mother allowed that bastard that they call All Might to throw him out of the family and never came looking for him. It has crossed my mind, I won't lie to you, and I would like to get some closure on why she never came for me or why she took his side. Rei just smiled at Izuku for a moment, enjoying the sweet treat as she was thinking that Izuku at least had good intentions on wanting closure instead of just wanting to be violent about the situation. Well, it's at least good that you're asking the right questions, but what about your sister? Do you ever think about trying to talk to her while you're at school? Izuku remembers all the times that he tried talking to his sister, and it always just ended up in them fighting, mainly because of that annoying chihuahua that's always with her. I would like to try talking to my sister, but she always has this annoying guy with her, so it's kinda difficult. Rei just enjoyed hearing all of these positive answers. No one ever said getting the answers that you want would be easy. Maybe you should try to find a way to separate the both of them so you can chat with her freely. Izuku frowned a little bit as he took another scoop from the ice cream. To be honest, if the exercise would have gone the way I wanted it to, I would have knocked out Bakugo and then taken the moment to talk with my sister, even though the both of us haven't seen eye to eye for years. I still feel like we haven't been able to talk real emotion to each other ever since I was abandoned at that fight club. Rei had a sad look on her face as she put the bowl that she was eating from down on the desk as she went over to the bed and just hugged Izuku. Just know, no matter what happens, I'm here along with everybody else, so don't try to hide how you're feeling, because we just want to give you a hand, so just reach out for it instead of ignoring it. Izuku started to cry a little bit as tears ran down his face. He hugged his new mother tight, happy to have her warm embrace, knowing that this is what a mother really should be like. Thank you so much. You don't know how difficult it is for me to sometimes sleep thinking about things, but knowing that you and father along with the others are here keep me together. Rei held Izuku close, rubbing his back, trying to help him calm down. Just know that I'll always be rooting for you and that you'll be a great hero someday. But that's not what I should be saying. I should be telling you that I believe in you and that you'll be a great man one day as well. So no matter what, know that you have my support along with the rest of the family. Both of them just stayed there hugging each other for a little bit. After about probably 5 minutes, Rei got up and took both of the bowls and left Izuku's room. Izuku was just exhausted after everything, so he decided to go straight to bed afterwards. Next morning, we find ourselves in Class 1A as everybody was still a little bit shocked about yesterday's exercise, but was still talking amongst each other. Only for one weird thing to happen as Hana walked up to Izuku, causing his entire squad to go on edge and ready to jump in at any moment. Morning, Hana. Is there a reason why you're walking up to me so early this morning? Hana looked conflicted, but she swallowed her pride a little bit, even though it was a bitter taste. I just wanted to say thank you you for saving my life yesterday." Izuku was shocked, not expecting a thank you from his sister. "What brought this on? I thought that you were always sworn to hate me no matter what I do." Hana just glared, remembering what her father told her that Izuku has become. "Much as it kills me to praise you, you did the right thing and not only saved my life but Bakugo's and your teammates, so that's the only reason why I'm thanking you." Izuku chuckled a little bit as he stood up, looking his sister dead in the eyes with a look that could kill most people. "Listen, I don't know what your father's been shoving down your throat and basically bottle feeding you, but I will let you know if anything happens to my girlfriend, my friends, or even my family, hell have no fury on your soul. And I truly don't care if I have to step through the entire top 10 to get to that man. Do I make myself clear?" Hana was a little bit unnerved, not used to seeing Izuku talk back like this. "So you're finally showing your true nature. I knew you were a villain underneath all that. Were you just trying to get me to lower my guard?" Izuku just shook his head. He wanted to say more, but he also wanted to say something nice, trying to help his sister. But he was still frustrated on how much she just basically fed off of their father's words. "No, I'm trying to tell you this because I'm sad watching the teenage girl in front of me act like a 5-year-old still clinging onto their father's pants leg. I wish that you would try to figure things out by yourself, Hana, but I pray that it's not too late for you." Hana was confused by that statement. "What are you trying to say to me?" Before the conversation between siblings could go on, Aizawa came into the room to get everybody's attention. "Alright everybody, today is going to be a very important day. We're going to an off-campus vicinity." He just springed out of his seat as he stood up for a second as he was doing karate chops to the air. "What exactly will be our directive today at this off-campus vicinity?" Aizawa reached into his pants pocket as he pulled out a small sign that said rescue on it. "Today we'll be doing rescue training, so go put on your hero costumes and meet me out front so we can head out to the USJ." After that, everybody rushes off to the locker room to get into their hero costume. As we cut over to the girls' locker room, we see Hana quickly changing into her hero outfit, as she seemed to be looking at her phone getting a text message from somebody, but she wasn't replying back. Yumi was kinda getting curious as she walked over. "So, who are you texting?" Hana flinched because she wasn't paying attention to her surroundings and quickly covered her phone. "I actually wasn't texting, just looking through some old photos." Yumi was wondering what she was looking at from her past. "Even though it's none of my business, I have to say it takes guts for someone like you to be willing to thank Izuku for how much you claim to hate him." Hana just had a sad look on her face. "I don't want to hate my brother, but I have to make sure that the evil that he contains is taken out of commission." Hana removes her hand from her phone, showing the old photo of her and Izuku playing ball outside in front of their house. "I miss days like these, and seeing that he was willing to save us the other day shows that his good side is still fighting inside of him." Yumi just pats Hana on the shoulder as she walks on by. "I think that you need to realize that there is no good or evil side within your brother. It's just him doing what he wants to be free and help others around him." Both of the girls just stare at each other for a minute as they separate, seeming to be heading towards the front for the bus. But we cut back a little bit in time to the boys' locker room as Bakugo is walking up to Izuku, seeming to be angry about yesterday. "Listen here, villain scum. The only reason I had you carry me out yesterday is because I let you. If I would have gone all out yesterday, I would have won and kicked your ass. So I'm just letting you know you didn't need to save me, so don't expect a thank you or any appreciation, because next time we're in that situation, don't even bother touching me or going near me, because I won't want your help." Izuku looked towards Bakugo, noticing that the rest of his crew was getting ready to surround him, only for him to give them all a stare to stay back, as the next second Izuku was laughing at Bakugo's face. "Listen, I didn't save you because you wanted me to. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I have fought with you and my sister for years. Yeah, I saved your life. The least you can do is not be a pain in the ass, so I did not expect you to thank me, but I thought that you would at least shut the hell up and make things easier for me." Bakugo got really angry as he started to light explosions in his hand. "You seem to be very full of yourself, Deku. Mind if we settle our battle from yesterday right here, right now?" Izuku stood his ground as a red-like tail came out of his back as it started to separate into 6, making sure to cover all of his blind spots. "Anytime you want, I'll be ready to slam you across the locker room, Bakugo." Hiroshima quickly ran in between the both of them as he placed a hand on both of their chests, trying to break up the fight before it starts. "Come on guys, acting like this isn't manly, plus Sensei is probably waiting for us. If we take too long, we might risk getting expelled. So why don't we just finish putting on our costumes and settle this some other time?" Izuku nodded. He didn't really want to cause an issue, but he didn't want to look weak in front of Bakugo either. "You bring up a good point, Kirishima. I will back down for now. Bakugo looked around, noticing that the rest of the villain squad was ready to jump him if he attacked Izuku, so he went back to his locker and put on his gauntlets as he stomped out the door. "We'll settle this some other time, villain." Izuku smiled as he looked over towards Kirishima. "That was brave of you to step in between the both of us. I also have to thank you because I really didn't want to have to fight, but I don't like showing that guy weakness, so I appreciate you." Kirishima just gave Izuku a thumbs up. "No problem, Izuku bro. We're heroes. We're supposed to bring peace, not war." Izuku nodded as he continued to put on his hero costume and rushed out to the bus, realizing that they were taking longer than they were expecting as everybody was starting to board. On one side of the bus, the entire Izuku squad, while the other side seemed to be a mismatch of students, while the backseat seemed to keep most of the loners or those who just didn't want to talk. Tsuyu tried to spark up conversation as an idea came to her mind. "Hey Izuku, since you seem to have many quirks under your belt, does that mean you fought against a bunch of villains before?" Izuku was thrown off by the very blunt question. "I really rather not talk about it, but at least I can tell you this, I have fought against villains before in the past." Momo wanted to try out a moral question with Izuku. "So, do you enjoy taking quirks from people, Izuku?" Anna sat up from the back seat of the bus as she wanted to pay attention to this answer. "I'm actually curious about that question myself. Seeing that you have so many different varieties of quirks, that means you don't really care that much. But I would like to hear it from your very own mouth." Shoto just narrowed his eyes at Hana. "You know, you only speak up, Hana, when you get a chance to stab your brother in the back, so why don't you just do us all a favor and shut up in the back seat?" Bakugo sprung up from his seat in rage with a medium explosion in his hand. "Shut up, you elemental bastard. What gives you the right to talk to Hana like that?" Titan started to get his hand up towards his mouth. "Don't tempt me, explosion boy. I would love to crush you underneath my 20-foot meter Titan form." Izuku put both his hands up in front of his friends to get them to stop fighting with Bakugo. "You answer the question so everybody will settle down. I don't like doing it. The reason why I have so many is because I did something stupid when I was younger, and a lot of other ones came from people who donated their abilities in their final moment, but at the end of the day, I've only taken quirks from villains." You had a little bit of a sweat drop, not realizing how much of an issue one question could cause. "I'm sorry if I started up a problem for you, Izuku. I was just curious." Almost saw this as an opportunity to ask Izuku an important question. "Oh, Izuku, I see that you and Mina are very close. Are you two dating or are you still single?" Mina sprung up in the middle of the bus like she was about to give some kind of declaration from her heart, only for the bus to swerve a little bit to cause her to fall back into her seat right next to Izuku. "Both of us have been dating for a couple of years now." Momo had a little bit of annoyance on her face like she wasn't happy to hear that answer. "You see, but I was asking Izuku if he was happy with his relationship, not your opinion, Mina." Izuku was a little bit confused by the question. "I would say I'm very happy. Mina is a very kind girl and has been by my side for years, seeing me at my best and at my worst." Almost started to get a little bit of a tick mark right behind her left bang of her hair so she could keep it hidden from everybody else. "I see, but are you saying that you haven't tried being with other women before? You don't want to be stuck with one person without having multiple experience now, do you?" Mina showed her annoyance like she was ready to spray acid on Momo. "What exactly are you implying, Momo? It's almost like you're trying to take Izuku away from me." Momo smiled as she licked a little bit of her bottom lip right in front of Izuku. "Oh, I'm not trying to imply it, but I'm just saying if Izuku wants a girl with more class and maybe a little bit more benefits for his family, he might think about it." And I started to get even more frustrated. "So you think just because you have a lot of money and your family has a long line of lineage of heroes that you're entitled to whatever you want?" Momo just continued to sit there smiling, even though the people around her could sense the killer intent coming off of her body. "That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just thinking for somebody who has so much to live for, being with someone, how would I say, a nobody in society, kind of lackluster. So if it was up to me, I would be with somebody who already has their foot in the hero society door." Ina started to see red as she finally decided to say what's on her mind instead of being nice about it. "Listen here, you black-haired bimbo. Stay away from my man." Momo glared at Mina, not happy to be insulted in front of everyone. "Oh yeah, and what are you going to do, Pinky? How would you know that if your man doesn't want somebody with an actual female body and not just below average?" Ina was about to attack Momo, only for her to see that Izuku was holding on to her hand, keeping her in place. "Listen, Momo, you can have Izuku over my cold dead corpse, but until that day happens, stay away from my man." Before the bickering between these two girls could continue, Aizawa Tokugawa got up from his seat as his hair was standing straight up, symbolizing that his quirk was activated. All of you shut up, we're here now, and I want you to get off the bus in an orderly fashion and try not to make fools of yourself. We're supposed to be learning how to rescue, not how to kill each other. Everybody got off of the bus and went inside of the USJ, where they met 13 alongside Endeavor. As per usual, 13 would give her speech on how quirks could be good to helping people, but could also cause massive destruction if they're not used properly, only for everything to get interrupted by a purple portal opening up in the middle of the USJ Plaza. Zuko just looked over towards Endeavor. I'm starting to feel like I need to make bets with you to see if things are going to happen or not. I might end up winning the family estate by the time I'm 20. Endeavor chuckled a little bit as he got himself ready for combat. As much as I would enjoy having a little bit of banter with you, son, I would rather we focus on the task at hand. That's when a purple mist-like figure started to appear out of nowhere, developing around everybody. I couldn't agree more. I'm sorry that we allowed ourselves into this Hall of Justice, but as one of the representatives of the League of Villains, I couldn't help but bring ourselves inside. Endeavor and Izuku were about ready to attack the mist villain, only for the platform that they were standing on to turn into mist as everybody got sucked into the portal, only for them to be separated into groups to be shuffled around the USJ as only 2 people were able to escape, which were 13 and Eraserhead. Upon seeing the situation, Eraserhead headed down into the plaza to deal with the villains as 13 decided to head towards the exit to get help, only to be cut off by Kodagiri. As we cut off to the groups that were shuffled around the USJ, we start with the shipwreck zone as we see Endeavor along with Momo, Tokoyami, and Jiro as the 4 of them splash down into the water. We see that Endeavor's flames were put out because of being soaked by the water as Tokoyami used Dark Shadow to grab everybody and put them onto the boat as Momo was looking around as she was still coughing up a little bit of water from the splashdown. What is going on? Where are we? Jiro's head was still spinning from being thrown around in the warp gate and then being splashed out into the water and then slammed onto a boat. Might be my head spinning, but I think we're under attack by real villains. Endeavor glared as he was annoyed to be sent with a place filled with water as he quickly heated up his body to evaporate the water that was on him. After about a couple of minutes, he was able to reignite his flames. Don't worry, children, I got this. I'm going to show you what happens when heroes are dealing with the odds against them, and even in their worst situation, they can still pull through. Tokoyami looked at their surroundings as he noticed all the villains hiding in the water. Then what is your plan, sir? Endeavor looked at the situation, seeing that they were completely surrounded, and noticed that the boat didn't have an engine, but that did give him an idea. Okay, here's the plan. Both of the girls will go down below deck and check to see if the ship actually has a hole in it, while Tokoyami and I will hold off the villains. Once that is done, you will come up with a status report. Depending on the status of the ship will determine what our plan of action will be. Momo was a little bit pale when she saw all the villains and how pointless this plan could be. Seriously, that's your plan? Us doing boat maintenance? Couldn't you just fly us out of here using your flames? Endeavor glared at Momo for defying his orders. As much as I would love to be able to do that, there's too many of them. It gives them too much of a chance to snipe us out of the air. And if that were to happen and we landed in the water, we'd be completely at their mercy, so please just follow my instructions as followed. Jiro grabbed onto Momo's arm and brought her below deck so they can check on the ship before the argument could continue. I don't understand why you're having an argument with a pro. Let's just get our job done so we can continue on with our plan of getting out of this situation. Momo was annoyed, wishing that she got separated with Izuku and not all of these people. Fine, let's hurry this up already. As we go away from the shipwreck zone, we head over to the ruin zone where we can see Yumi, Mina, Soji, and Hana falling out of the sky. As Hana was able to regain her focus, she noticed that her classmates were falling out of the sky, so she used her telekinesis to help them levitate down on top of one of the buildings before they crashed. As they looked around the ruined buildings wondering what was going on. Is everybody okay? Yumi looked around as she started to scatter out her feathers. I'm fine, but I'm actually surprised that you saved me along with Mina. Mina was concerned, wondering where Izuku could be. Thank you for saving us, but what should we do? I have a feeling that there are villains still in the area. Oji was looking over the building as he could kind of see something crawling in the shadows, but before he can get a good look at it, it disappeared. I don't think that we're alone. Something is watching us. Hana did not comment on either one of the girls' questions on why she saved them as she went over to the edge of the building wanting to look down. What did you see, Soji? Oji continued to look around the area, seeing if he could spot the thing that he saw earlier. I didn't get a good look at it, but for what I saw, it looked like some kind of giant bug. Yumi shivered a little bit, not wanting to think about the idea of dealing with giant bugs. I'm going to send out my feathers to do recon. We shouldn't move until until we know what we're dealing with. Anna saw all the feathers moving around as they were checking the area. I disagree, we should stay on the move, especially if you're checking the area. Whatever creature or villain could be watching us could use your feathers to pinpoint our location. Mina didn't wait for either one of them to give an answer as she turned part of her body into sludge, using her new sludge-like arms to slingshot off the building to check out the area herself. Come on, we're heroes, not civilians. Let's take care of these villains and meet up with the rest of our classmates. Anna smirked, seeing that Mina had more bravery in her than she thought, as she then jumped off the building, using her telekinesis to glide downwards. Keep up if you two can, slowpoke. Koji saw that Humi was annoyed, knowing that she can't fly without her feathers, since they're looking over the area, so he picked her up and jumped over the side of the building, using his web-like mesh to glide downwards, but also holding onto a piece of the building to slow himself down midair. He might as well join them so they don't do anything too dangerous, right? Humi looked up at him, kinda smirking. I'll give you this, I didn't actually expect you to jump off the side of the building, but that was actually kinda fun. Time for me to put my training with my mother and father to good use. As we cut away to the downpour zone, we see Shinso, Ochako, Titan, and Izuku as Titan quickly grabs onto all three of them as he bites onto his hand, turning into his Jaws Titan form to cushion the fall for the three of them as they smash down onto one of the buildings. Is everybody okay? Especially you, boss. Izuku was a little bit thrown off as he looked up, feeling the rain come down on all of them. Well, it looks like we're in for a battle. They're separating us. The question is, what do they have planned for us in this part of the USJ? And so sniffed the air a little bit, trying to catch a nearby scent as he covered his mouth with his scarf the next second. I think there's something toxic in the air, or at least the rain. We should get ourselves into some kind of cover to get our bearings. Uchako was looking around frantically, wondering how these three were so well coordinated, like they were ready for battle no matter what. We need to find shelter, right? But we need to also wait for pros. We're way outgunned here. We're novices, not real heroes. Aiden picks her up with one of his hands as he was walking alongside the other two. Don't worry, Ochako. Everything's going to be okay because Boss is here. He's going to have an amazing plan to take down all the villains ourselves, so we can take this whole entire situation by storm. Enso just shook his head as he continued to keep his mouth covered by his scarf. Stop overestimating Izuku, and you know that he hates it when you call him boss. We need to reassess and make ourselves a makeshift base so we can get out of the rain and figure out what's trying to hunt us down in here. Izuku kicked open one of the doors to the nearby building. Let's go in here and use the top floor to survey the area. Titan, shrink down to your normal form and keep Ochako close to you. Shinso, you take point just in case there's something in the building. We'll probably be the first person to spot it out of all of us. Titan quickly popped out of his Jaw Titan form as it started to decay away, seeing that Ochako was still in its grasp as she started to fall out of it. He caught her in his arms. Sorry about that. I should have made sure to put you down first. Ochako started to blush as she noticed that he was holding her bridal style. It's okay. Thank you for catching me. I really should start putting myself together. As we cut away again to another part of the USJ, this time to the Burning City Zone, as we see Tsuyu, Denki, Ida, and Mineta luckily landing on top of one of the buildings that wasn't on fire, as the four of them were sweating in the massive heat that they were in as they surveyed the area, seeming to be a burning landscape straight out of their nightmares. Tsuyu seemed to be having it the worst as she was already breathing heavily and sweating very hard. To Mineta's pleasure, seeing her sweat and how tight her suit was clinging to her body was like a part of his fantasy. I thank whatever God that allowed me to see this amazing effeminate body of yours in this situation, Tsuyu. Tsuyu was annoyed as she smacked Mineta across the face with her tongue. Now is not the time for that. We need to hurry up and get back together with the rest of our classmates. He was breathing heavily even though they haven't been here for that long. I really do not like hot places. Ida pulled out a container that was connected to his leg armor that he handed over to Tsuyu. Here, it's orange juice. Sorry if it's not actual water, but it's better than nothing. Tsuyu takes the container and nearly drinks half of it as she was severely dehydrated. Thank you so much, Ida. Sorry that I nearly drank it all. Denki was messing with his radio set, trying to see if he can get a hold of anyone back on campus, only for him to find out that the signal was jammed. Damn it, I can't get a signal outside of the building. What should we do? Neto was freaking out as he was starting to cry a little bit. What do you mean, what should we do? We should stay hidden on top of the building until the pros come for us. Those are actual villains out there. What are we going to do against them? Just started to do his karate chop motion as he was getting ready to go into lecture mode. That is not proper hero behavior. We need to hurry up and regroup with everybody else to make sure that no one else is injured. Inky started to look around for him to see a little bit of a blur for a second, not sure if it was the flames getting to his head or someone was just running really fast. Hey, did anybody else just see something run past this area? Netta started to look around with tears in his eyes, not seeing anything. Hey man, don't try to scare us, that's not funny. Mia was looking around as well, even though her body was extremely tired. She didn't want to look weak in front of everyone else. I don't see anybody either, but we should start heading out of this area before I dehydrate. Bill was trying to think for a moment when he noticed a part of the city seemed to be less inflamed. I say that we should start taking the path towards the edge of the zone to break our way out, if we can't get to the exit door. He was still concerned about what he saw, but then focused on what Ida said and thinking that that was a good idea. That's not a bad idea, Ida. Perhaps if we're lucky we'll find a back exit so we can get outside of the USJ, and I can maybe radio to the main campus. Netta saw that as hope as he started to rush towards the nearest stairwell to get off of the building. And let's hurry up and get out of here. I don't want the villains to find us. Yuyu was moving slowly, almost feeling like she wanted to rip holes in her costume so her body could breathe a little bit better. As she was trailing behind her classmates, I just hope we make it out of here before I pass out. We leave off to another group, the final group, the mountain zone. Coming out of the sky, we can see coming to crash down on the stone is Kugo, Todoroki, Kirishima, Inasa, and Aoyama. Midway in the sky, Todoroki makes a slide out of ice so everybody can slide down onto the ground safely. As they were looking around, wondering where they are, they actually noticed a ton of boulders as they seemed to be placed at the edge of the mountain. Bakugo was annoyed seeing that Todoroki was a part of his group. Of all the people that I had to be stuck in this random place with, why did you have to be one of them, Icy Hot? Todoroki just rolled his eyes in annoyance, not really wanting to deal with Bakugo's bullshit. Shut up, you barking chihuahua. We're in a situation where we need to focus, not be at each other's throat. Bakugo got pissed off as he started to light an explosion in his hand, not really caring how much noise he was making. Listen here, you villain. If you have a problem with me, we could settle it here and now. I'd rather smash your face into the ground, along with the rest of these villains, instead of working with you. Nasa sent out an air slash in between the both of them to cool them off. Listen, we understand that the both of you don't like each other, but we're in a do or die situation, so let's try to put our heads together and figure out what we should be doing and why the villains split us up this way, because we might be getting ourselves into more trouble than we're hoping for. Kirishima agreed with Inasa as he patted him on the back. I agree, we need to see if anybody else is in the zone, and if we start fighting amongst each other, it will make ourselves an easier target for the villains. But what do you guys say? Can we at least have a truce between the both of you for right now? Yama didn't really want to say anything. He felt uncomfortable with this group as he just looked around trying to be sparkly by himself. No, it's kind of weird how all of these boulders are set up. If I didn't know any better, you would think that someone is setting them up for a landslide. Kirishima started to look at how the boulders were set up himself, as he did find it especially odd how massive their size was. No, now that I think about it, even if these things were meant for the exercise, they're kind of big, so maybe someone actually put them here, but why? Bakugo was just annoyed as he started to stomp off in a random direction. Who cares about a bunch of giant rocks? I need to go find Hana. Todoroki goes over by one of the boulders, seeming that it is about his height as he looks over the edge, seeing that this is the best vantage point for the entire place as it could be used for sniping or just throwing large projectiles. I'm starting to think that this might be one of the locations that the villains might be using to throw these boulders at the plaza, possibly other areas of the USJ. Oyama looked away from the group for a minute as he could hear the giant footsteps of a 20-foot-meter creature covered in hair with claws on his hand coming towards them, looking similar to one of Titan's transformations. Hey everybody, look, Titan's here as well. Maybe he has an idea for what we should be doing. Nasa seeing the giant figure stepping towards them, not saying anything. It's weird, why is he already transformed if he's not fighting anybody? Todoroki had a bad feeling thinking that might not be Titan. I don't know if we should trust that figure. Titan usually doesn't transform unless he has to. Kirishima was actually excited seeing one of his bros coming their way, not really paying attention to the others. Yo Titan, glad to see that you're here with us, bro. Did you have a safe landing? Figure didn't say anything as he got up to the group and got down on one of his knees as he held out his hand onto the ground, like he was trying to motion for them to get on, as Aoyama saw this as an opportunity not having to walk and have a better view, so he didn't hesitate to get onto the hand. Thanks for the lift, my good friend. Let's get everybody out of here with a sparkling display. Mysterious figure started to get a grin on his face as he closed his hand quickly. You are such a fool. Todoroki was the first person on edge as he started to get ready to attack, as he was starting to light up his body in flames. Yama, hurry up and get out of his palm. That's not Titan. Before anybody could do anything, the giant palm closed tightly around Aoyama, crushing the life out of him. As he screamed, everybody wasn't expecting what was going to happen next, as the sparkly boy was thrown into the jaws of the giant ape-like creature, and proceeding to crush him to death between his teeth as the blood splattered onto them. Within seconds, the screaming finally stopped, as everybody was just standing there in horror, knowing that one of their classmates was just killed. Are you all scared, little heroes? Don't worry, you'll be joining your friends soon. The only regret I have about heating him is that he was covered in too much sparkles, but I hope that your blood will help me wash it down. Cut away once again, but this time we seem to be underground in some kind of laboratory surrounded by a bunch of human-sized test tubes filled with monstrosities and suspended humans, with a man seeming to be laughing and enjoying the computer in front of him. I am truly excited to have my children running around and tearing apart the next generation of heroes. In your name, Master. A distorted voice seemed to be coming out of the darkness. I have high expectations for your creation, Doctor, but just in case, I'll have my vessel put into position. Just in case if I need to intervene. Doctor was a little bit concerned while also feeling insulted. Master, I truly do not believe that you will be needed to show yourself in this battle. The spider is already starting to multiply, and the poison is already spreading to one of the zones, along with one of my speedsters running around. And let's not forget that we have one of our other creations getting ready to launch from above. The man in the shadows just continued to stand there as he pulled out a photo. Like I said, I believe in my successor, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. I definitely want to make sure that my brother is taken care of this time, because if he continues to grow any stronger, he might actually become a problem. Doc was actually curious about what his master is planning on doing. So are you going after your brother right away if you're going to show yourself, or are you just going to take out his allies beforehand? The shadow figure put a hand to his chin and thought, well, I guess it all depends on how well your children do out there. I'm hoping to truly not get involved. I'm technically our last resort, but I need to head out. Make sure to keep me posted on the result of your creations, Doctor. The person in the shadow seems to take a seat in a chair as his head seems to slump down like he fell asleep, but we then proceed to cut away from the laboratory as we go back to the USJ with Eraserhead fighting in the plaza, fighting against multiple villains as he sees a white-haired man with multiple hands all over his body. Oh, you must be the leader of this entire group of riffraff. Shigaraki had a mad grin on his face as he was enjoying watching Eraserhead fight off against his goons. You really are cool, Eraserhead, and yes, I'm the leader of the League of Villains. We're here to destroy All Might, along with reclaim something that belongs to us. Zawa kicked one of the villains as he used his capture scarf to throw another one, trying to get closer to the leader. You won't succeed. My students are not pushovers. Judging by the losers that you keep on sending at me, I might be able to get this done before any of them get back. Shigaraki grin got even wider as he snapped his finger as a purple giant hulking figure came rushing past him. Well, if the others are boring you, why don't you play with Nomu for a little while? Zawa was a little bit concerned seeing the giant hulking figure come rushing at him, knowing that he doesn't do well against power type, being back with his capture scarf in hand ready for battle. Bring it on, big guy. Jump over to the front gate of the USJ where we see 13 and Kodagiri fighting it out as she was trying to absorb the villain into her black hole. Surrender, villain. Do not make me do something that you're going to regret. Kodagiri looked around and noticed that his job was mainly done, but he wanted to make sure to get rid of 13. Name's Kodagiri, and the only person who's going to be regretting anything will be you, 13, by deciding to put up a fight. 13 was confused by that statement, but made sure not to weaken on her black hole quirk even for a second, even if it meant that she had to kill a villain. I warned you, and I am truly sorry for what I have to do to you, and I need to make sure I can get out of here so I can alert the other teachers and heroes so my students can be safe. Kodagiri started to smirk as his warp gate started to show up behind 13, and allow yourself to be destroyed by your very own quirk. Next second, 13 started to get sucked into her very own black hole as her costume started to tear apart as one of her arms actually got ripped off, going into the black hole, making her quirk shut off. 13 just laid there in a bloody mess as her costume was torn up and leaking blood all over the place. Sorry, students, I failed you. If there is a God out there, please hear my prayers and let the kids get away from this place. Kotagiri was able to stabilize his form as he started to walk over to the dying hero. Pray as much as you want, 13, but we will have our way, and none of you will be leaving here alive, leaving UA's reputation in the mud and shaking up people's views on heroes. Zawa turned around to see what happened as his eyes widened in horror. 13, don't worry, I'll be right there. Zawa automatically regretted turning away as the Nomu came in with a very heavy punch, slamming him into the ground, making him bounce like a bouncy ball. Then grabbed him by the shirt and threw him halfway across the plaza, but what confused Eraserhead is that he was using his quirk the entire time. Should have prevented the Nomu from doing things like this as he looked over at the leader for a second in confusion. Shigaraki was just laughing in enjoyment. You can tell by that confused look on your face, Eraserhead, you don't understand what's going on. Let me tell you, Nomu here is just naturally strong along with very helpful quirks. Zawa's body was completely aching with his vision very blurry. I can't give up, I have to keep on fighting. He got onto his hands and knees as he was struggling to get up. I will get my students out of here, you hear me? While Eraserhead was making his decree, the Nomu was walking over to him as he grabbed onto both his arms and just started slamming his face into the concrete. Shigaraki was enjoying the spectacle only for Kotagiri to show up. Kotagiri just kept a neutral expression. I heard that Master might be coming and he's expecting an already high body count, but from what I've been able to pick up from around the vicinity, only one student has died along with a teacher. Shigaraki just started to scratch his neck in annoyance. That's not good. The last thing I want is for Master to be disappointed if he's going to be showing himself here. Make sure that you get the Nomu to do their job along with that agent to get his job done a little bit quicker so the corpse count can be really high. Kotagiri just nodded in understanding. He also told me that he's finally going to expose our hidden agent, something that you're going to enjoy but also be shocked by. Shigaraki calmed down a little bit as he was wondering what his master was up to. So you're saying Master's not only coming here to bring backup but also surprise everybody. I always enjoyed a good hidden boss. He then proceeded to put one of his hands up to his ear, wanting to hear the sound of screaming children but didn't hear any. Well, I'm hoping that the next time that you give me a status report I hear more screaming, so head out to the other Nomu. Kotagiri then flew off towards the burning city zone to meet up with one of their colleagues. Upon arriving, he sees a man in the shadows, dressed in a tan trench coat. It's time for you to begin hunting. The mysterious man just looked up at Kotagiri. Am I supposed to take any of them hostage or am I just free to kill them all off? Kotagiri just looked over at the group on top of the building. We're free to kill all of them, leave none of them alive. That's where I'm going to leave this part off. I hope that you all will enjoy this. I really got nothing else to say, so like the video, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you all next time. Blaze Hollow signing out.